The Consumer Sentiment Index hit an all-time low back in June and has only improved slightly since then. So what does this mean? So the University of Michigan has published its Consumer Sentiment Index for close to the last 50 years, which essentially is a gauge that measures what consumers think about their own financial situation, as well as the current health of the economy, which struck me as kind of odd because that would suggest that people feel worse about the economy right now than they did during all of the events I covered during this previous video. So this annotated chart from the St. Louis Federal Reserve shows each respective low in the index. Now, does it make sense that the current sentiment readings are worse than number one, the 1980 to 82 double dip recession, 1987 crash, 1990 recession, 9/11 terrorist attacks, 2000 and 2003 dot-com implosion, 07 to 09 great financial crisis, and then most recently the 2020 pandemic. So what inspired me to create this particular post is not necessarily that data point specifically, but rather something I saw someone else say on social media. They said, I don't like how financial advisors tell you the same thing when the market is up as they tell you when the market is down, to just keep buying and stay the course. So this chart from JP Morgan is a great example of why I think there's a disconnect between that statement and consumer sentiment. So here's what I mean by this. So this graph is a representation of consumer sentiment over time, right? But with each blue dot reflecting each respective peak and trough. So here's what's super interesting to me. When there's a relative peak in pessimism, right, we reach a trough, on average, the S&P 500 rallies almost 25% over the next 12 months. And that's based just on price. That's not including any dividends. And we all know the famous Warren Buffett quote, right? Be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. But here's where this indicator might surprise you. Even at peak optimism, or when the gauge reaches a top, the average return in the S&P 500 12 months later is still 4.1% higher. And that's not including dividends. That's just the price of the S&P 500. So why do advisors tell investors to keep buying when the average consumer perceives times to be really good, and especially when times appear to be really bad? Because if you're a long-term investor, then it's better to stay the course, because how people feel about the economy is not a good investment strategy. Investing decisions should be done and made only with your head, not your gut. So creating this video, hope it serves as a public service announcement. Please try to just tune out the noise, because how your neighbor feels about the economy might not be the best leading indicator of future stock market performance. If anything, if they're really down on the economy, this would show that maybe it's a good time to buy. As always, I hope you stay the course, stay on point. Take care.